Oh, he's coming. Hey guys, in today's video I want to talk about how I personally use Procreate and some of the brushes that I downloaded and how it works with my workflow. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a huge fan of Procreate and I've never really wanted to be one of those people that uses it, but for various reasons, here we are, and trying to drink my coffee, aren't you? What? For various reasons I do use Procreate. The first is Klaus is smelling the camera. Hey! Get away from there. Come here. Come here. Crazy cat. The first reason that I use Procreate is it's the biggest facet of my job. I use it for my school job, which I do graphic design and illustration for. The parameters of that job were to use Procreate. So I had to really learn to like it and to get used to just using it basically every day. Klaus! Stop being dramatic! He does this thing where he's standoffish, but then he gets upset that he's not being held. I had to get used to using it, I had to be very comfortable with it, and I did a big switch from PC and Android to Mac and iPhone a couple months ago, just because with my job and with graphic design, PC is just much more difficult to work with others with it. Like AirDrop and just the whole interface of Mac and iPhones and stuff is much more conducive to designers. Which really does suck because PCs are great and I really like my OnePlus phone more than my iPhone now. All that to say is that I started to get used to using Procreate instead of digital painting on a tablet. I way prefer digital painting on a tablet to Procreate, but I do really enjoy the ease of accessibility for Procreate and how easily I can just go to school and work on projects, work on my own personal artwork, and then work on my student worker position, how I can do all of those things with Procreate. That was a huge long ramble about how much I don't like Procreate, but if you're like me, if you're a person that finds it extremely difficult to use, these are some things that I've noticed make Procreate easier to use. And as somebody who's been digitally painting for 10 years now, I find Procreate extremely difficult to use. What I'm trying to say with that is that if you're really struggling with it and you don't understand how to use Procreate properly, I don't really love Procreate and don't think it's the easiest to use, so you're not alone. Don't be discouraged, but these are some things that I've found that have made workflow in Procreate much easier. And I can put out pieces that I do really like that take longer than if I had done them on my tablet, just because I'm used to using a regular drawing tablet, but that I still really like and I still think they look good. A couple of specifications about the iPad that I have. I do have the iPad Air, the 3rd generation of iPad, and my Apple Pencil is just the 1st generation of Apple Pencil. Yeah, let's get into showing you what I specifically do in Procreate. So first off, I think I should talk about the brushes that I do use. I have a couple brushes downloaded. The first one that I have is the Portrait Kit by Blue Satan. I will have all the brush packs linked down in the description. She has these incredible Procreate paintings, and so I was getting started. I was like, you know what the heck? I'll try out her brushes, and truth be told, I guess we just don't have a similar workflow, so I very rarely do use these brushes. Whenever I do use them, I will use maybe the smooth shading or the smooth line or very smooth line, those ones. I'll try to use them occasionally, but it really does not work for my workflow. However, you might be really interested in them. She has amazing paintings and she makes them work. The second pack that I have downloaded is this Painterly pack. I do like this, but I do think I use this pack more for work. It has a more textured appearance look to it. And for work, I do make more not abstract specifically, but definitely not this girly style of artwork. I do a lot more character concepts and environmental scenes, and so I do use more textured brushes. So the Painterly pack is really good for that. It has a bunch of more fun textured brushes. And then the two brush packs that I use the most, the ones that I have downloaded, are the dry texture brushes, which I'll use the texture pencil, the vintage inker, I use the vintage inker a lot for line art, such as this line art that I made for the sketch. I really do like the charcoal pencil, the crayons, the light brushes, the thick brushes. Crayon shader, dry stroke shader is incredible. I think this is such a cool brush. It looks like shading with a graphite pencil. So I do definitely recommend that one. And then a couple of these other ones, the texture builders, the texture crayons. These I use both for work and for my own personal artwork, so I definitely recommend this Dry Textures pack. I think it's extremely versatile for a lot of different types of artwork. And lastly, the one that I use mainly for my digital painting effect, that look that I still get with like a Photoshop or Krita and a tablet, it's the Sargent's Oils pack. I really do like the Wet Filbert, the Wet Bristle, the Wet Bright, all of these brushes. They're wet, so they will smudge into each other, which makes for an easier way to work whenever it's on Procreate. I personally hate like wet brushes in Krita or like Paint Tool Side, that kind of thing, but for a tablet, since it is harder for me to work, I do enjoy wet brushes. I think it is easier for color picking, especially since when I am digital painting, I'm always gonna have my finger on the control key so that I can click the eyedropper tool, and usually it's in tandem, so like one stroke, eyedropper, one stroke, eyedropper, so I go really quickly. With the Apple Pencil, you have to hold down, wait for a second, and then color pick. Hold down, wait for a second, and then color pick, so it's a little bit longer, just by a couple of seconds of a process to choose colors, so having that wet brush helps the whole process go much easier for me. Not including the brush packs that I already have bought, I will use some of these other brushes that do come with Procreate, mainly the 6B and the Narrator pencil. These two for sketching. For airbrushing, I will use a soft brush just for like smoother transitions, just to make my life easier. Those are kind of the three brushes that I do use from the ones that come with Procreate, but usually I use the Dry Textures and the Sargent's Oils. Those two brush packs I personally love. So for my process for creating a painting, first off, I'll start off with a very light sketch. I use a 6B pencil, just to get a bigger stroke. I will use a light color. As you can see, this layer is on full opacity, so the sketch that I made is at this very light tone. And this is just to make a thumbnail, like a really rough drawing of where I want everything to be and how I want everything to look. And then after I do that, I will add a layer on top of that with a darker brush. I think for this sketch, I went in with a charcoal pencil from the Dry Textures pack, and I solidified this sketch where I wanted to go. Sometimes I'll just leave it at this level, but for this painting, I wanted to have a little bit more dimension and texture and depth, so I added one last layer for adding a couple more details. So I wanted the winged liner to look in a specific way and the eyes to look in a specific way. So this is what I have so far. After I do this layer, it's time to add the flat colors underneath the sketch, work with the sketch a little bit, and then paint on top of everything to create the final painting. So let's get into that.
Using a combination of the brushes I talked about, I'm laying down the base colors, and for this piece, I wanted really bright Valentine's Day tones because this is the February limited edition Patreon postcard, and I made this postcard and the stickers for this month very like Valentine's Day themed, and I wanted it to be super pink and kind of gross. Hopefully you're into that because this is this month's postcard. I started by using mostly the Sargent Oil brush set for this painting, and so the way that I work, especially in Procreate, is I try to have all of the tones and colors laid down exactly where I want them under the sketch. So the layer that is above the sketch on the base colors is to mainly soften all of the sketch lines and to bring the whole painting together. I don't need to paint over parts of the skin that have already been blended under the sketch layer. I just kind of work over the sketch and make sure that everything looks cohesive and good. And then lastly, I use some of the pencils to add highlights and little stars and freckles to the piece, just to add a couple of little details. You know how I be. And if you're interested in this postcard, there are sticker designs that go along with this postcard, and the full Procreate time-lapse for this piece is going to be up on Patreon as well. It is going to be linked down in the description if you are interested. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop plugging myself now. I would really appreciate if you would let me know what you thought of this video, like because I don't really know what to talk about for a Procreate video, so I just talked about brushes and sort of my workflow. If you have any questions or anything you want me to go over more in depth, I will definitely make another Procreate video, and I just want to know what you guys want to know about Procreate. Lastly, I have a really nice filter over the video, but as you can see, the final drawing straight out of Procreate was really pink and not cute looking, so what I do afterwards is I'll open up Visco, and I have a preset that I made specifically that adds like grain and makes it a little bit warmer, brings down the highlights, brings up the shadows, and it just is really cute. So I add that over the painting, and that is the final result.
And lastly, my highest reward here is you can get an original sketch from me in addition to the postcard, the stickers, and all of the other rewards. So if you're interested in any of that, you can go down in the description and check out the link. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more videos because I'm starting. Oh my gosh, I can say it again, I'm putting out videos every single week. That was not the case for 2 years, but then I've been on YouTube for a while. I used to post regularly every single week for like 2 or 3 years, and then college happened. But now I've been posting videos every single week. It's so exciting. So you can subscribe and click the notification bells if you want to be alerted to videos. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!